Hello and welcome back to the MLB DFS Slate Breakdown for Thursday, June 6th. We're going to be here with breaking it down. It is a Thursday and we actually have a decent sized slate today, so it should be a fun one. Should be a good Thursday. We don't have much of a day slate today, but we got a night one. Got a good main one, so let's dig into it. Before we get into it, come join us at LineStar, $39.99 per month. Gets you access to everything we do, all the props, all the DFS. You get it all, one low price. Let's go. So we will start with going over the perfect lineups and the winning lineups from yesterday. And the perfect lineup on FanDuel. We got Carlos Rodon. We got a two-man Texas stack, two-man Pittsburgh stack, and some one-offs. Of course, Judge is there once again, as he has just been on absolute fire. We used almost all the salary. 298.1 is the perfect lineup score. The winning lineup went to CSUQ, who won $20K. 211 was their final score. They had Rodon. Rodon just had quite a game. He was pushing a no-hitter for a little while until a bad, sixth inning that gave up a couple runs, a few hits. But congrats to him. Lineup-wise, we got a four-man Cubs stack and a four-man Texas stack. Got it done. 4-4 won it. That is 2 days in a row that the 4-4 won on FanDuel. So congrats to them, and let's get on to DraftKings. We got Rodon and Jose Urena. Did not expect Jose Urena being the perfect lineup, but it was versus Detroit, who we know just isn't that good. He went 6.2 innings, had 6 Ks, only gave up 1 run. Congrats to Urena on a great afternoon. And then we had a two-man Texas stack, and then all one-offs from there. So, winning lineup, however, we got Rodon, we got Skeens, Bama 80-40 was the one who won it, and they had a four-man Texas stack, a two-man Yankees, two-man White Sox. So 4-2-2. It's another thing we don't see that often on DraftKings. I like it. Getting a little different, but still using a lot of correlation. Totally fine with that type of lineup construction. Thing that is interesting looking at the leaderboard here is there's not a ton of multi-enter guys on the top. So getting a little different yesterday definitely paid off. So congrats to them. Now let's get into today's 7-game slate. Reminder, we do start a little bit early, 3:40 start time. That is Pacific time on both DraftKings and FanDuel. And let's get into the ownership here. So, highest owned, we got Hunter Green, Tanner Huck, Sonny Gray, Pablo Lopez. All of those guys are above 20%. And they are the main ones I would be considering today. However, I do have to say that Green, it's a little hard for me to be on board with him being the highest owned pitcher today. The reason being, we got warm weather in Cincinnati and the wind's blowing out in a small ballpark. Winds are blowing out around 10 miles an hour. It is a day wind, though, meaning that the wind is going to be coming down throughout the game. The start of the game, the wind is 10 mile an hour. By the end of it, it's down to like 4 or 5, which 4 or 5 won't cause much of a difference. 10 will cause a little bit of a difference, but the big thing here is warm weather in Great American Small Park. So he's also a fly ball pitcher, allows 45% fly balls. Not a ton of hard contact, but not a ton of soft contact either. I wouldn't be surprised if he lets up a home run or two. He is a good pitcher, so he can have a good day. Does have some upside, 27% K rate, 23% combined K rate, 8.2 K. I am fine with. I am just not totally sold on this ownership here at his price. Tanner Huck is clearly one of the best in one of the best spots for today. Not only are the White Sox just not good versus righties, 24.6% K rate, low WOBA, low ISO, even their short-term stuff, 123 ISO, 275 WOBA, they just have not been good, and Huck has been amazing. 2.34 FIP over his last 5, FIP of 3.05 over the last 20. The only thing about him is that he allows 22%, or he has a 22% K rate. So the upside is a little bit down. However, because the White Sox strike out so much, the combined K rate is 24%. I'm definitely intrigued, and I do not mind having some Tanner Huck. I do have to mention, though, that there is some pretty strong wind blowing out. I think gusts are in the 20-mile-an-hour range for this game, so wind can definitely be a little bit of a problem for a pitcher today, but he is a ground ball pitcher. He keeps the ball down on the ground, and that wind doesn't matter whatsoever. Next, we got Sonny Gray. He is also in a very, very good spot. 2.95 FIP over his last 20 starts, 28% K rate. And then over the short term, 3.95 FIP over his last 5 starts, 33% K rate. This Colorado lineup is not good versus righties. I'm definitely interested in some Sonny Gray, even though he hasn't been quite as good lately. However, he has faced some good teams. Milwaukee, Angels, Orioles, Cubs, Philly. So I think you do have to give him a little bit of a pass over the last month data just because of the good teams he's facing. But we got a 28% K rate, 9.5 K. I am all on board on Sonny Gray. And clearly I think the two highest owned pitchers today should be Sonny Gray and Tanner Huck. I don't mind Hunter Green. I just don't think he should be the highest owned. Next, we got Pablo Lopez versus the Yankees. Scary, scary spot. You never want to face the Yankees, but he is only 8.5K. This is a guy that lived in the 10Ks all of last year. So price is down significantly, but he is in a very, very tough spot. At this 8.5K number, he can give up a run or 2 or 3 and still be totally fine and usable. So I think there are absolutely paths to his success and to wanting him for a DFS pitcher today. Do have to bring up the fact that winds are blowing out in New York. He is a fly ball pitcher. New York has a ton of power, so it is a little bit scary in this situation. But he is one of the better pitchers on the slate, and his price is down. Randy Vasquez is very cheap, but I don't really care much for him as a pitcher. But, maybe he can get you 20. He's in an okay spot. He's in a pitcher-friendly park. If you want to go there, that's fine. Walker Buehler is probably my lower-owned play that I'm most interested in. He hasn't been in great form so far. And I think that's probably why people aren't really going there, but he is a guy that can be efficient and work deeper into games, has an okay K rate, the combined K rate 22.6 at 8.7K. I'm okay with versus a Pittsburgh lineup that's not great versus righties. So I'm definitely intrigued. There's a good chance that he's able to get a win here, so get some win bonuses. If he works 6 or 7 innings, he could get 6-7 Ks. At 8.7K and low owned, it's intriguing. Ronaldo Lopez, I think you got to be in on him. He's been just pitching absolutely insane. The one issue, and this is what I brought up before last time he pitched, is they're definitely watching his pitch count. He's at 80 pitches per game, so he has to be super efficient to really get it done at what his price is at 9.1K. On a slate like today with limited pitching options, I'm okay with having a little bit of him. I'm definitely not going overboard, though, just because the upside is so limited when he's only going 80, 85 pitches. And then his chance of getting 6+ innings, if you're on Fanduel for that quality start, just isn't very high. So I don't love the spot for him. I'm fine with having a little bit of him. And I would prefer him on DraftKings than FanDuel. Cal Quantrill, he's been pitching very, very well lately. So 4.48 FIP over his last 20 starts, but 3.58 over his last 5. ERA is right around there. K rate 21%. StatCast data looks great. There are winds blowing out in St. Louis, but really there's winds blowing out almost everywhere. So we got some home run wins, but 22% combined K rate at only 6 K versus a poor offense. I am very intrigued by the low-owned Cal Quintrell on a slate where there's only 2 pay-up options I like, and after that, it's a bit murky. So I think Quintrell is extremely interesting there. And going under-owned. Stroman, I always have a hard time going there, but hey, he could get it done. It's not the greatest spot. Minnesota offense is good, especially with Royce back. But Stroman continually gets you a few Ks. He's only 8.4 K. Winds are blowing out. It's warm. It is hitting weather. But pitching's a bit bleak today. So he is, in case of emergency, break glass type of guy on this slate. Now, getting over to FanDuel, pitcher-wise, we got Sonny Gray, highest owned, as I think he should be, and Hunter Green next to 22% owned, and then Tanner Huck. I clearly think the best 2 guys are Sonny Gray and Tanner Huck on this slate. And then I would actually put on FanDuel Walker Buehler third before I put Hunter Green. Just look at our projections here. So Huck and Gray, over 10 points higher projected than anybody else. That is substantial. And then you got Walker Buehler at only 8.3K before Hunter Green at 9.9. So Green on FanDuel for me, I would not have very much of him in this situation. Lopez, he has the upside to make it happen. I could sprinkle in some Lopez. Definitely interested in Cal Quintrell. And pretty much everybody else on FanDuel, I'm not really going there. If you want to go Lopez, I would say have a very small percentage just because he's 9.5K. He's a great pitcher in a great spot, but this 80 pitches over the last 5, it's just very, very hard for me to get on board. If he's pitching well, they're going to let him go mid-80s, high 80s, but they're not really going to let him get into the 90s. Or most likely don't let him get into the 90s. So that's my big issue with him. I just don't know if the upside is there for him on this slate. However, pitching is kind of rough. You get Gray, Huck failing, and then it opens up a lot of other guys that could happen. So now let's get into some stacks here. We are zooming through this show today due to the fact there's really not a ton of pitchers. We got a ton of home run hitting weather, nice offense hitting weather. Dodgers 9.5, Dodger Pirates 9.5 total, Cubs Cincinnati 9.5 total, and then a slew of 8.5. So highest FIP on the slate, Jake Woodford, 5.89 over his last 20 starts versus Boston. Definitely intrigued with Boston here. However, I do have to say, don't love this ownership. Now, we do have big-time wins blowing out. Boston is big-time favorites. Their implied total is 4.9. They're in a decent spot. I don't mind it. I just think they're going a little too high owned. Now, speaking of high ownership, let's take it to the ownership. Boston all over the highest owned stacks, and I'm not that surprised with the hard winds blowing out, but the winds at White Sox Stadium just are not the same as in the Cubs Wrigley Field. They don't affect the game quite as much. Now, I'm fine with Boston's. There are some home run wins, but I would say there's decent hitting weather in multiple other parks. You don't need to follow this ownership. Let's go to the highest projected now. Highest projected, we got the Dodgers versus Pittsburgh versus Bailey Falter. 5.1 FIP over his last 20, 4.7 over his last 5. And you got a Dodger offense that's extremely good. I would be all in on the Dodger stacks today. Also, don't mind the Yankees stacks. It is warm. We got wind blowing out. Lopez hasn't been great on the short term, and they're super low owned. This Yankees team can hit anybody, so I don't mind getting to them a little bit. And value-wise, we got White Sox popping up and Boston. White Sox versus Tanner Huck. I don't love it. He's been great. However, we got that same weather that is making Boston go high owned, so it makes some sense to have some value there if everybody's on Boston, partially due to that weather. Now, high ceiling, Yankees. No surprise, really. Cincinnati's popping up also versus Javier Assad. I do have to say Assad is more of a ground ball pitcher, so it is going to be a little hard for Cincinnati to get that ball in the air to really take advantage of the Great American Small Park and the warm weather and wind blowing out. But he still does allow, 34 or something like that percent fly balls. And I still think he's due for some regression. He's had some lately, but there definitely can be more in the tank for him. Now, let's check out implied team totals. Dodgers with 5.2, and they're in a great spot for a stack. Falter allows a lot of hard contact, high average exit velocity. The bullpen's bad. Dodger offense is good. Makes some sense to want to go there. Assad, I think Cubs bats or Cincinnati bats are in a good spot versus Assad. Boston, gotta like them a little bit, although I do think they're going a little bit high owned. The Braves versus Mitchell Parker. Braves offense has really, really been struggling. Don't mind having a little bit of them. Mitch Parker has been decent, but I do think he is likely due for a little more regression there. Yankees, Padres are at home, and they really haven't been hitting the last couple days, so don't love that spot. But Arizona's bullpen is bad, and Cicione hasn't been great. 7.11 FIP over his last 5, 5.05 over his last 20. Big issue in San Diego is that they're in San Diego in Petco Park, which just doesn't promote a ton of hitting. Cub stack, I think, is going to go way under owned versus Hunter Green, who can allow home runs, and that bullpen is decent, but can definitely get hit. Nice hitting weather, Great American Small Park, don't mind going there. And I know I said I like Walker Buehler, but he also hasn't been great lately. So 5.47 FIP over his last 5. Pittsburgh got to him yesterday. Could definitely get to the Dodgers a little bit again today. Definitely a little intrigued to go there. So that will do it for us today. Quick one, wrapped it all up in 18 minutes. Please like, comment, and subscribe to our video. Helps us a ton. Just improve our reach, and good luck today. Let's win some money. Peace.